Well, hello, folks. Guess what? Your girl made a completely amateur move of like, where the heck is my Welcome to Florida intro? Well, here it is. See you soon.
Here we go.
Bad boys, what you want, what you want, what you gonna do when Chevy John don't come for you? Tell me what you wanna do, what you gonna do.
Florida man standing in his sunroof while driving his Cadillac
Bad
down
boys, bad
I-40.
boys, what you gonna do, what you gonna do when they come for you?
Hello, everyone, and welcome to my channel. I'm Reina Creole, bringing you that spice to sci-fi and pop culture analysis, and of course, keeping it real when it comes to theme parks. And speaking of keeping it real, we need to really talk about uh, Walt Disney World. I know Bob Iger pretty much spun that things are fine, the parks are fine, guest satisfaction is an all-time high. Well, for those of us who go to the parks frequently, or those of us practically who live in the Disney bubble, for lack of a better term, things are quite different from what we've been seeing in the parks, not only over, like, say, the past like 5 years, but we'll say the past 5 months, past 5 weeks. There are just some things going on that me and my panel who I'm bring on, we are doing it. No pixie dust zone. We are letting you know exactly what it is that we're seeing and would love to hear what you guys are seeing as well. So, first of all, let me bring on my wingman culture casino. How are you doing, my dear?
I'm fantastic. Thank you for getting us kicked off on a beautiful Sunday. I am excited to talk about Disney kind of falling apart. So that's fun.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Especially after some of the stuff we've got to talk
Ooh.
about and some pictures as
Picture.
well. Yeah, we love pictures.
Picture.
Love that. But I'm glad culture is here because I can't wait for the culture rants, man. Because
Oh boy.
we may be tag teaming off when it comes to the rants and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I fully expect.
yes,
yeah.
yes, and I will be very disappointed if we don't get one from you.
We actually have some other people that could rant their face off too.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. First up, we have Ron Bradley from Follow the Bradleys Fun. How are you doing?
Hello. Well, doing pretty well. It's the nice part of the beginning of April is that's the end of allergy season here in Florida. So I am unstuffed and my eyes aren't watering 24 hours a day anymore. So at least there's that.
I know, man. I'm so glad I don't have to take Benadryl every night, at least for right now.
You could get a rebound. You could get a rebound.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
I'm just that allergic. If the mold spikes up, I'm sick again.
Yeah.
Oh, joy, but I'd rather do that than have to shovel snow. So our next person coming in, of course, from that Park Place, Culture and I, one of our coworkers over there, and he's doing such great things over at that Park Place. We have got Vash Guy with us. How are you doing?
Doing very well. Thank you so much for having me.
I love those sound effects.
Me too.
Just got in by the Endor Express, so we're all good.
Oh, I love it. I love the TSA bot who's scanning like all the bags and everything.
Mm-hmm.
He's a hoot. I'm not too happy with what they're doing with Star Tours. We can talk about that a little later on. First of all, I want to thank the 30 of you folks in here watching. Yes, this is a Welcome to Florida show. Theme parks are part of what's going on in Florida. So I've got an awesome panel here tonight to talk to you guys. So let me quickly go through who is here in the chat before we get started. Let's see, Terry Rose, I see you, says, I love the smell of Disney in the morning.
Yeah.
And we love the smell of you in the. Oh wait, hang on, that doesn't work. Wait,
Didn't sound good.
wait a minute.
That did not sound good.
Wait a second. Could smell very good. Well, we love the Disney smell, that's for sure.
I tell you, my favorite is the smell of Joffrey's coffee at the Transportation Ticket Center in the morning for real. And thank you, Scott. Scott keeps just making it rain with these memberships to my channel. Thank you so very much, Scott, for doing that. And make sure you guys are opted in for memberships. So we have generous folks like Scott here donating those memberships or gifting those memberships. You have a chance to get one of those memberships. And we have all kinds of extras. Like you guys got a picture of the butterbeer fudge and butterbeer caramels that I got from Honeydukes over at the Wizarding World of Harry Potter. Oh my gosh, it's Honeydukes is just like the books. My goodness gracious.
Well, do you guys have the ice cream over there? The butterbeer ice cream?
I got that from Florian Fortescue's yesterday.
Okay. Because I was only familiar that Hollywood had it, but I didn't know if that was a resort wide thing right there. I have been hearing nothing but praise for the various butterbeer, whether it be ice cream or other assorted snacks and treats. Really good stuff there, folks.
It is absolutely delicious. Like I told people, if Universal ever ran out of butterbeer, people would riot. That's like running out of Polynesian sauce at the Chick-fil-A. You know what happened.
What was the famous orange bird drink that everybody wanted for forever?
Was it the orange twist? Because it had
it was like an orange Julius. Yeah.
And the orange slushy with it. I used to drive my parents nuts because I'm like, that's what I want. That's what I want.
I was at Universal on Tuesday with my sister, and they got the butterbeer ice cream. And it was my sister and my niece. They're from Amsterdam, so I think they know good, tastes and flavors. Well, they took the butterbeer ice cream and they mixed it with a Starbucks coffee, and then they put ice over the top and split those up. And they said that was like the best thing.
Oh boy!
So it was like, there's a super hack: butterbeer, Starbucks, ice, butterbeer, Starbucks coffee.
Wow!
Hot butterbeer is awesome. Oh my gosh! Frozen is too. It's so good that I have the worst brain freeze because I want to drink it all, and man, it's really bad when it's so good. You're like, okay, I maybe if I stop drinking this, I won't get brain freeze, but I can't because it tastes so good.
Can I tell you? Oh, go ahead.
Please, Vash. No, go.
I did a statistical analysis on butterbeer sales because, even though the information is kind of hard to come by, Universal has provided some of the metrics that we know of attached to this. So, in 2018, they said that they hit a 20 million milestone in terms of butterbeer sales just in Orlando. So by according to my math here, if they keep on their same pace, which is just immense, right? Given how many butterbeers that they have sold at the price that they have sold them, at that 2018 level comes out to about $100 million. If they keep on this pace right here, they will have hit about $250 million just in butterbeer sales, with about 40 million butterbeers sold. That quantity is enough to fill, I believe, Rivers of America at Disneyland. Just in product. $250 million That's revenue, not necessarily profit, but you can just imagine how much revenue that is, and that's only for Orlando and the 3 parks which will be selling butterbeer by 2025. It's not including Florida. It's not including the ancillary sales like ice cream and fudge and all the other butterbeer that they sell right there. So it has been a unbelievably successful product for them, and can't wait to get more of it, to be quite honest with you.
And do you have the numbers on the blue milk, green milk?
Yeah. That's actually what started the conversation. The blue milk. I mean, you go to the blue milk stand. Lorena, is it this way in Florida? You go in there in Anaheim, there's nobody there. Ever.
There's nobody there. And if you see people walking up, you kind of look like, should we tell them? Nah. We'll let them find out. Like when people say, "Oh, Beverly's the best thing. You got to try it. It's awesome."
No,
I love Beverly. Okay, I really do.
Don't ever do that to somebody. That is not okay.
Yeah, if you like butterbeer, you'll like no.
Do not do that to somebody. They are there on their vacation. Why do you want to mess with somebody's vacation?
Oh,
come on,
boy.
man.
Yep, I can hear just the the reaction from people from the butterbeer alternatives.
Ventura, now the Beverly blue milk
out.
What now?
I said now the Beverly blue milk hack. No,
that does not sound good. No. That sounds like instant rainbow yawn. That does not sound good.
It kills insects.
It would kill a lot of things.
Nah, I just said to quote Ace Ventura, Pet Detective, stuff probably looks better on the way out.
Oh,
you know, can I share my screen here? We got to do this because I think it's really funny.
Oh, sure. What do we got?
Here we go. So what do we have here?
Love.
Let's see. Okay, so I have
in here
a compilation of various individuals trying this here. I don't know if I can play this because it might be copyrighted music, so I'll go ahead and keep that low for right now. But you could just see the people's reaction here. Let me see.
Yeah, he ain't feeling that.
Yeah.
Like yeah, bruh. No. It's just like no. It's like no.
This is weird. I don't know what this is, but this is bad. Right? It's bad.
Oh, that's copyright-free music.
Oh, is it? Is it? Okay. Just want to make sure it is. I don't want to get the strong voice.
In the Hall of the Mountain King. That's classical music.
It tastes disgusting.
I don't think I love the green one.
I mean, right up front, I'm like, I don't like it, but it didn't get better.
Right, no, exactly.
It didn't get better. It got worse.
It tastes like berry
It didn't get better.
It reminds me of detergent.
I'm
Detergent.
Detergent.
That's worse than the blue.
That sucks. I don't like this one at all. Did it give you brain freeze or what? No. It tastes like I'm eating a leaf.
It tastes like somebody licked a carpet cleaner or something. So, blue milk. Do not get it.
These aren't the new butterbeer. I don't know what Disney was thinking.
You can.
It's just the grossest thing. Nobody is rushing up there to.
I don't know if I would get it again.
Try and get it.
It tastes like feet.
It tastes like feet.
You guys.
It's just not good.
It tastes like feet. Oh man. Yeah, so we tried it for the first time, and our reactions weren't.
I don't know if I would get it again.
No.
It wasn't the must buy. Let me put it that way.
Vash is just like, No.
It was bad, guys. It was bad. And honestly, I mean, what surprises me, Lorena, and I think this is going to be the theme, the overall theme of this show here, is that when something is bad or when something is subpar, or something that doesn't meet expectations, Disney seemingly goes, good enough? It's like, why haven't we gone back and changed the recipe? Why haven't we gone back and offered alternatives? Hey, you want to go ahead and have a non-gluten, non-dairy version of it? Well, that's fine. But can we please have a good tasting version of it for the rest of us? Is that possible?
Well, I'm going to show you guys something that is the biggest culinary disappointment that I have had at Walt Disney World. First of all, 53 of you guys in here watching. So thank you. Please do hit that like button. Let people know we are here. And I'll let you guys start in just a minute. But Punk Black, thank you so much for that 99-cent super sticker. I do believe it is. Thank you. 8 thumbs up. Thank you so much, my dear, for that super chat. You guys are so generous and I appreciate it so very much. So very much. I'm sorry, go ahead, Culture.
Oh, no. Can I guess what your least favorite culinary delight is at Disney?
Yes, go ahead, guess.
Is it the gumbo?
I should have qualified that with that I have tasted because, and Bash, you got to find a picture of that gumbo. Okay, let me put it to you this way. Your girl, my dad's side of the family is from like southern Mississippi, Louisiana, New Orleans, all of that. Okay. Gumbo is supposed to have the consistency of a soup. It's usually shellfish-based stock, just with all kinds of great vegetables in it. You get crab in it. You can get shrimp in it. It's served with like a mound of rice in the middle. It looks like a wonderful, very intricate dish. It is a Creole version of bouillabaisse. Okay. You're supposed to be able to spoon it like a soup, and it's supposed to look very, very appetizing. Like, I can't wait to tear into this soup with all these amazing pieces of shellfish or oysters, and it just looks nice and classy. I don't know what these people were doing from Disney when they researched gumbo or went to New Orleans, but I don't know what the heck that culinary abomination is, but it is not gumbo. It is not gumbo. It looks like the dog's breakfast.
What restaurant is gumbo served at Walt Disney World, or is it even served at Walt Disney World?
If it is served at Walt Disney World, it would be, I believe, over at Riverside, and I have not tried it at Port Orleans. I have not tried it. I have tried the beignets. The beignets are on point over there. Beignets are on point. I have not tried the gumbo. If they have it, I'm not aware if they do.
I have heard very good things about the beignets over there.
I can't. Well, thank you, Steel Leg of History, for that member for 23 months. It says this past year has been a rough one for me, but I've been slowly getting better. My knee and stump is healing. You have inspired me to start my channel. 227. Well, you're 327. Okay, awesome. Well, thank you so much, Steel Leg of History, and thank you so much for being a member as long as you have. I appreciate it. Keep going with that channel, dude. You're doing awesome. And is this the gumbo, Vash?
So that, I believe, is available at Blue Bayou, if I'm not mistaken. That gumbo right there. I'm trying to get better gumbo photos here because I did just
rice.
That's yellow rice. It's
Spanish rice. Yeah, it's Spanish rice.
Con amarillo.
Yeah.
That's what they have for gumbo. This is the one they just debuted at Tion's Palace.
Hell no. no. Just
What
no.
the Tiana in a gown doesn't make it look more appetizing?
That's not gumbo. I got family members that would be like ready to throw down over something like that. I'm just
See if we
saying.
can get a bigger.
Are you muted, Lorena? I think you were mouthing things.
Dang it. That is that
might be the ingredients that you might put in a gumbo.
Is that just some sausage and shredded chicken with mushroom gravy?
Potatoes? What is
No, it's
that?
rice.
It's rice.
It's chicken, rice, sausage, and mushroom gravy. That's it.
You put
It's gumbo.
you put
It's gumbo Tiana's way.
with mushrooms.
Is there shrooms in there?
Is there mushroom?
No.
They got the andouille sausage, right?
Yeah, andouille. They have.
They
Yeah.
love to reuse ingredients, by the way. They love to.
Yeah, they are. Disney is the chef's salad of cuisine.
Yeah.
It's all the leftover kitchen meats piled on some lettuce.
That's what that looks like.
Yeah.
You know, when you're in school and they make the dish the next day and you know it's the leftovers from yesterday. That's what that looks like. And
those might be shrimps.
Where?
Those might be shrimps.
Where?
Somebody said, "Where's the seafood?"
Where?
I don't
Where?
know.
The things that look like mushrooms on the right.
No, that's not
Mushrooms.
All right, let's
Those
see
are
what's
not-
in here. Let's
those are
see,
not
because they
baby
might have it
shrimps.
listed here.
I don't
I have a
know.
whole video on it.
There's a whole
how
video.
to cook it right.
They cannot be that proud of this dish.
No.
We can't play the audio.
No, we can't play the audio, so I got
Okay,
it.
yeah, okay. Y'all went to Dookie Chase's, but guess what? You didn't get the recipe right, because the owner of Dookie Chase, before she died, she literally did this whole thing about how you make gumbo and what it's made of and what it's supposed to look like and how you're supposed to serve it. Yeah.
I got grandparents that'd be like really upset if they were alive right now seeing this food.
Okay, so somebody has a breakdown of what's in it right here. And let's see. 2 tablespoons vegetable oil, 12 ounces mild andouille sausage, half-pound boneless chicken thighs, Cajun seasoning mix, onion, green bell pepper, poblano pepper, ribs celery, cloves garlic, dried thyme, chicken stock. I see no seafood on here. Reserve dark roe, I believe. Okra pods, teaspoon salt, teaspoon
I
pepper.
just personally don't like okra in my gumbo.
Worcestershire sauce, hot sauce, fresh chopped oregano, fresh chopped parsley, rice.
Okay, yeah. There is a little bit, because sometimes when the fresh catch comes back, the catch might not be good enough to put in gumbo, so you'll predominantly have chicken is like the guaranteed meat.
Yeah, you always get and it's good shredded chicken that's already been cooked before it gets in the skillet. And
yes,
anyway,
it's been sitting around, but
Tiana's Palace. I'm very angry right now. It's fine.
I am.
Yeah.
I'll put it to you this way: my Louisiana relatives would be screaming at how dare you serve something like this.
You need to get Valiant's opinion.
Well, me and Valiant we talk about the okra in the gumbo. I do not do okra in the gumbo. You're just now doing that with the vegetable? No, you start with Trinity first.
Yeah.
No, I you know what this is? This is gumbo that they think will appeal to tourists who don't know any better,
Right.
or people who have never been to New Orleans. So it's kind of like with Universal, and I'm going to ding Universal on this because that was messed up too. They made jambalaya with black eyed peas in it.
Oh. Uh-oh.
What?
black-eyed
not what you do.
peas in it culture. They had jambalaya with black-eyed peas. Black-eyed peas to me are like the corn tortillas of Southern cuisine. I no, just no. I couldn't believe they did that. And in
Oh,
every
man.
in every survey, I'm like, you need to get the black-eyed peas out of the jambalaya. So this is so not how you make it. Gumbo takes at least, because it's a seafood based roux. You first of all you have your roux, and then you have your seafood stock. That stock takes at least an hour and a half to make.
Well,
Roux
and if
takes
you do
at
it,
least an hour.
if you're doing it right with the butter and everything, and then you add a little file powder to it to get it a little thicker, and then you get that nice rich darker color, and that's what you're
Mhm.
aiming for,
Yes,
right?
that
And it's just
feeling. Yeah,
oh,
this is stew. This is not. You don't put Worcestershire sauce in
Hold
gumbo.
on.
No. And you don't put the hot sauce in there. But
you do
no.
well. To be fair, you do put a Worcestershire sauce in barbecue shrimp, which does not involve a barbecue at all. Most people don't know that, but that goes in there. But that doesn't go in there.
No,
It's
it
like
don't go in there.
yeah.
Where the Creole seasoning at? I haven't even seen that.
Oh wait. Okay. So
Seasoning
what?
has got to be in there.
Okay. So well, he's doing it almost a little bit, right?
The presentation.
He put in a little salt.
Is no,
I think so.
It's not. You don't sprinkle the rice on the top. It's a dome of rice.
Let's put it this way: Tiana herself wouldn't have. She didn't even show up for the video. She's like, no.
Said, hell no,
No.
you're not sticking me with that. I am not claiming that.
Oh,
At
but they'll
all.
try. They'll try, that's for sure. Here's your
Let me-
jambalaya, by the way, from Universal Studios.
Which is actually not terrible. I've had it. But it's not really. It's not perfect, but it's
No,
it's.
it's them
it's all right.
black-eyed peas. Hell, no.
I know, but it's better than the Disney stuff. The problem is they didn't go the right place, right? They didn't go to a Cajun kitchen, is what they didn't do.
Yeah,
right?
they didn't.
Like
no.
for example, at Disneyland, if you're a California kid, they used to have the Jazz Kitchen, right? At Ralph's Jazz Kitchen down there, everything was authentic. It was like going to walking down Market Street, right?
Yep.
So
Yep.
it's just it's just different. You got to go to the right place to get your steal the recipes from. I just feel like they go on vacation and they forget to like do their research. It frustrates me because wouldn't have been like that. Joe would not have done this. Joe would have got authentic recipes, just like everywhere you eat in Animal Kingdom Lodge, Kidani, wherever you eat that says Animal Kingdom on it, you are getting authentic cuisine. The only place they spirited it up a little bit is at the separately owned Yak and Yeti restaurant in the middle of Animal Kingdom. And that just, they Americanize it a little bit, and they give you bigger portions than where you would get. But it's just, oh man, I'm so
I
bummed
used to
out now.
work at that Yak and Yeti.
Did you really?
Yes.
Yeah, well, they spirit up the recipes a bit. They Americanize
yeah.
that. Yeah.
But
There it is. That's
portion
Ralph's.
sizes.
I've been to Ralph Brennan's Jazz Kitchen.
Yeah.
I've been there. I've been to the original Brennan's in New Orleans. I've been there. I've been to a couple of the other restaurants that are around there in New Orleans, and it's just like you have to go to where the locals go, and a couple of other hole in the wall places where Meemaw makes a gumbo and charges you based on the quality of how it is that day. I think when these people go, they're not doing the true culinary research. You don't just go to the super touristy places. You go where like the locals go. And I'm actually going to show you guys. I'm going to show you.
I bring this up just to show you this one piece here. This is what happened with
hold on a second. Okay.
Jazz Kitchen here. So they took out the beautiful you know, railings and so forth. The beautiful metalwork right there, the amazing sign, all of that, and they strip it all down to make this just recently. So that's I guess what, and from what I understand, this was mandated from Disney for Ralph Brennan's Jazz Kitchen to do. So that's what's going on there. It reminded me, Culture, when he brought that up. I do apologize. Go ahead.
Oh, it's fine.
No worries. This is a perfect example of the first one, Ralph Brennan's Jazz Kitchen, the first incarnation, has the culture in there, the wrought iron, you know, just the whole aesthetic of New Orleans with well, people think that it's French, but it's actually Spanish, but just that whole aesthetic that makes you feel like you are actually in New Orleans.
Right.
And now you've got something that looks like a cheesecake factory.
Exactly. Yeah, a lot of people were upset about this change because they stripped out all the culture from it. They stripped out all the, you know, maybe you can call it kitschy or you know, any number of things, but it was different. It was totally unique to this area, to downtown Disney. And honestly, a lot of people felt that it was more indicative of a theme park location destination where you go to for the surreal, right? You go for the theming. And
why is that
and
putting
now
me in the
you're
mood
introduced
for
to this.
Swedish meatballs?
Yeah, exactly. No, I know. It's like an IKEA.
That's what it is. That's what it is. It's
Yes.
IKEA. Okay.
Now,
The
Lorena, you
original-
were going to show some gumbo.
Yes, I
there it
am.
is.
Yeah,
AMG.
Gensler, you got that right.
The Gensler effect. That's
I didn't know
exactly.
what the name of it was, but
Yep.
when I found out about it, I said, okay, now
Yeah,
I
this-
can see what you're talking about.
This
Yep.
reeks of like the Paul Pressler era of, you know, like lowest common denominator of offerings from every element imaginable, whether it be retail, whether it be maintenance. It just that dude was a retail lowest common denominator guy. This is look, all the authenticness, all the flair, all the things that made you feel like this was a unique place to be. Gone. That I have some of the fondest memories of my Disneyland going life in that restaurant.
It's like you go from, why should you go on vacation to visit some place that you could pretty much go to when you go, you know?
This is this is a double-decker food court restaurant.
Agreed.
This is right next to a Sbarro's now, right?
For real?
A Sbarro's pizza.
So,
no, that was a joke, but it was y'all were believing me for a
I had to
moment.
think about that. I had to think about it. Let me see if I can get you another image here. The interior is like even worse, if you can quite imagine.
Oh, God.
But
Does it look like a California pizza kitchen on the inside?
Yeah.
yes, actually,
It was driving me
does.
nuts. I'm like, where have I seen this style before?
Yeah, and look, some of the authenticity. What's the name of the Mexican place that was there? Ajo Joe's.
It was Mission Joe's, I believe, or Tortilla Joe's. Tortilla
Tortilla Joe's. Okay, yeah.
Yep.
That place was awesome. Did they get to that one yet, or is it gone?
It is going to be gone because they have a Mexican food restaurant showing up where the Uva Bar was, if you remember.
Gosh.
Oh my goodness! Why are they getting rid of the Uva Bar?
Yeah, well, they're I guess they want more business from there as well. But you can see right here just how stripped some of these things are. From what I understand, the food is quite nice. But if you knew this interior, like the fountain that was in there, it's all gone.
Beautiful, and it had cafe chairs, and I mean, it was very authentic inside this restaurant, and like the patio seating was brilliant. I mean, I'm sad. You know what? Thanks, Vash. I needed more depressing stuff. Appreciate it.
Yes. So this is what we had before.
Look at that.
Yeah. Look at all of that.
It looked like the Courtyard of Angels, right? From inside
Yes.
inside the park. Yeah.
Absolutely, it did.
It was Was the last remnants of that look anywhere near Disney?
See some beautiful art pieces on the wall.
Yeah,
Just amazing.
Gorgeous,
Sconces, the beads, the everything.
Southern style.
It was phenomenal.
I want to get you a photo of that fountain, which was just absolutely delightful in the courtyard right there.
Crazy.
They got rid of all of it for this.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do they still have the interior balcony space?
I believe so. Yeah.
Okay.
I believe so.
So all they did is gut the authenticity right out of here and put, Mediterranean European look inside. I feel like that is a restaurant that belongs in Miami in a tourist area at the low end of the scale.
There isn't this rich, European fusion with Southern charm. It's what you got with.
I just wonder where their designers even coming from? Grade school or?
they're coming from I don't know, some kind of, I don't know, Gensler is a thing. I know they design like hotels and stuff like that. It's very cookie cutter.
It almost looks AI designed, the new one.
The way, so Gensler, they typically do like commercial real estate. So they're doing like, if Google needs a new campus, that's who you call, right? Or if you need a Starbucks in the middle of San Francisco, that's who you're going to call. It's usually this very modernistic, sharp lines, sharp edges type new age interior design and exterior architecture design.
Until somebody hits their head on a corner, and then they're going to sue the pants off of them.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good thing. Oh,
I wanted to show you guys what authentic gumbo looks like. Depending on where you get it, like here's seafood gumbo. Like this is my favorite.
Ooh.
See how that looks? It's like a soup, and then you've got the rice, and then you've got like the seafood, crab, shrimp, all of that stuff.
Very good.
And it looks very homemade. It looks like that it takes the time that it's supposed to take in order to make it. I guess this is the one that Tiana's Kitchen was going for, but you can tell the difference when you do not spend the time to make the roux, the time to make the seafood stock base. That takes time to do.
It does.
Yeah, the chef whipped it up right there in like 15 minutes, right?
My grandma would stew tomatoes for 24 hours. It was a really slow stewing process, right? And then she would make a red roux, and that was ridiculous. That's when you mash the tomatoes after you're in the process, right, into the butter, and man, hello. I don't know.
Oh, it's just something else. Oh, Masters Maniac Mexico. No, what I'm talking about is in New Orleans, because New Orleans was a French colony, it was a Spanish colony. It has
its own look.
European, you had European style mixed with Southern charm, and New Orleans is very proud of that the heritage that they have. That's there. It's absolutely gorgeous.
The ironwork alone. Right, the wrought ironwork alone is ridiculous, right? And Walt cared a lot about that. Think about the fact that he brought back the harpsichord, right, which had the French influence and everything else. He knew exactly where that was going to go. Eventually, it ended up in Club 33, but he brought back all of these incredible elements and this huge love of this culture. So when he built out the area around Pirates of the Caribbean, it had to have all of that.
Absolutely.
Had to.
And I know it was somewhat controversial at the time, but New Orleans, what makes it so incredible, what gives it the atmosphere is that age. So they had to like paint that age on in some places, which was a little bit, Walt Disney wanted it to be pristine, right? But it's like, you can't get that if it's too clean. You need a little bit of signs
taught-
of wear, right?
Yep.
Water streaks and so forth. Go ahead, Culture.
No, they taught themselves a whole new technique for making that happen by layering paint and different things and brushing techniques. It was amazing. Yeah, that aging. Yeah. It takes a long time to learn that, by the way.
Indeed.
Let me show you guys one more thing before we get to
is.
yet another dismal Disney. It all comes together here. This right here is one of the biggest disappointments that I have had in quite some time with Disney.
Thanks, Mom.
Culinary.
Oh, it wasn't me. It wasn't me.
First of all, the pastry chefs over at the Grand Floridian are awesome. And every Easter, Christmas, Easter, I'm getting as much candy as I can get my hands on, right? This is the Grand Egg, okay, which has a whole bunch of jelly beans in the middle, and it's made out of solid white chocolate, okay? I'm thinking this pink stuff, it's going to be like sugar, like, castor sugar. I'm thinking it's going to be nice and, sweet taste, because it already looked disrespectful enough. Why I had to have it. So I paid $20 for it.
Oof.
Okay. I get this thing home. I crack it open.
Oof.
And I take a bite. And it tastes like the white chocolate was dusted with Pepto-Bismol. You know the Pepto-Bismol tablet that you get? That's what it tasted like. And I'm like, who thought that it was a good idea to put something like that on something so expensive?
So there was no message on the packaging that said eat this if you're, if you have a bad stomach or something like that. Like the Pepto-Bismol product included.
That's rough, man.
What?
That is rough.
Ever. And I'm just like, who thought that? Okay, they probably thought, well, they paid $20 for it, they're gonna get it. But just like, what makes you think that you would put something out there like this?
Hey, $20 is $20. Oh wait, that's the wrong time to use that line.
Lorena, I have a question for you about this because I did a video on the Easter eggs, the egg display. Couple questions. In your opinion, did you notice there were like half the number of Easter eggs as normal displayed at the Grand Floridian? Because to me, it seemed like a lot fewer this year.
Yes, fewer and a lot of repeats.
And then the other question I have is, I didn't see an Easter basket. It looked like they had a box thing that you could buy for $80, but no actual basket. Is that right?
That's correct. They didn't have them over at the Contemporary either. So for folks who don't know, what used to be a tradition at Walt Disney World was that for Easter, you could order these custom baskets. Like you could get certain candies in it, all kinds of like swag from the parks, Easter themed stuffies, and they would put them together for you, and they were gorgeous. And not only could you just buy them, you could have them delivered to your hotel room. And you used to be able to have that done at the Contemporary, at the Polynesian, and the Grand Floridian. But this year, none of that was at the Contemporary.
What's weird is, I just remember if you spent the Easter holiday there, that was like a thing you could do, and then you'd have the baskets delivered for Easter morning, and then all of that, and it's like, well, whatever.
It was weird. It was weird. I remember this now because Lorena was there I was at the Grand Floridian the night that Lorena was over at Bay Lake Tower as we messaged each other. And it was just so I don't know, lackluster. What's the best word? That word's not even a bad enough word to say what it was.
I just want to say mediocre, because one of the most magical things about going to Walt Disney World during the holidays is all of the effort that they put into making the holidays so wonderful that you want to stay there. And Easter, that was huge. Having like Easter baskets delivered, to your hotel room, or had one, like there was one Easter basket that had like a loungefly in it, and I wanted it, but I walked by it. I didn't want to pick it up, but that's what they would do. They would pick the stuff up. How do you want to put together? And it was just amazing. And they even had Easter eggs, like the chocolate Easter eggs. They also had those at the Contemporary the year before. Now it's just generic. There's nothing there. They have a couple of maybe treats that they'll have at the Contempo Cafe or at Gasparilla or at Captain Cook's, but there's nothing like the big deal that they used to make for Easter every year. And it really is depressing because you pay so much money to go to these resorts, and it's like they're phoning it in. Well, I won't even say phoning it in. It's just it's the worst low effort that I have never in my wildest dreams would have expected to come from Walt Disney World. It's just like sucking the magic out of it, and I don't even know if the Easter Bunny, I've seen the Easter Bunny at Magic Kingdom, but wasn't there a point in time where the Easter Bunny was at the Grand Floridian? I know it was at the Grand Floridian, I think at the Polynesian.
Yeah. I know it was in one of the original 3 resort hotels. And I know that you could and there was like a little like very much like Santa. Vash can probably find it. But it was very much like Santa. The Easter Bunny was in the hotel, very much like a Santa setup in, the Grand Floridian. So you could actually, visit Santa. It was very strange. I don't know what happened. So very strange.
Kiss My Grit says, didn't Disney lay off most of their floral and gifts team?
Yeah.
That's likely why those Easter baskets and other special gifts you used to get are no longer available. I forgot about that, Kiss My Grit.
The florists that were at Disney could give you something absolutely special, and knock your socks off, right? I mean, they knew what they were doing. If you had a special thing that was happening, right, for somebody in your party, and you let them know, and yes, especially if you're in like a deluxe resort or slightly better, let's say club level, you would get the extraordinary things, kind of like you're on a cruise. Like you get a daily gift on a cruise, and depending upon your level of cruise member, you get higher level gifts. It used to happen the same way in the hotels. They really did know how to treat customers. They have abandoned that. If you want to talk about all the takeaways, I mean, I would love to sit down one day with that park place's intelligentsia, because there's a lot of them, including Vash and Lorena and Ron and many of these other folks that have direct personal experience in the company, and talk about everything that's no longer there, the value that Disney no longer offers. That would be like a 4-week video. You would have to break it up into bits. Like it would be like a mini series of, this is what you used to get, this is what you get now, this is what you used to get, this is what you get now, and then we can talk about just how little value there's left in a Disney vacation.
The Osborne Festival of Lights would be 4 hours. Sorry, go ahead.
Wow.
Yeah.
In the mid-2010s is when I worked for Disney Vacation Club, and that when I was working for Disney Vacation Club, that was the thing that we emphasized the most, was the Disney difference. And back then, the Disney difference was huge. Number one, there was literally no nickel and diming. Your parking at the hotels was free. Your transportation, the Mears transportation was the Magical Express. That was free. There was so much that was included with your vacation. The dining plan in the mid 2010s was actually worth it. I would never say it's worth it now. It was just so. They went out of their way to make your Disney experience so magical that really, I think that's the era where all the pixie dusters have come out of. And and I understand we all still want it to be that way, some so much that they just hold on to it and pretend that it's that way with their eyes closed. But it's not that way anymore. And like you were saying about the floral department, one of the coolest things I will say, when I was a cast member back then, there was times when they were changing out the flowers, and they changed the flower arrangements daily. Every single day, the flower arrangements that you saw at Disney were prepared that day, and they would change them out. So I would be working, and the florist would be like, I'm not doing anything in this. Is you want to take this dozen roses home to your wife? Okay, sure. I'll take, $60 worth of Disney dozen roses home for free. It was great. But they, and even now, they won't do stuff like that. Not even amongst cast. It's like, it really is crazy. The level of magic, the level of service, the level of the Disney difference that is just so gone these days.
It truly is. And Ron, you reminded me of something. One of the reasons why I loved going to the Grand Floridian to visit is because of those obscene floral arrangements that they renewed every day. Like, you would walk in, you smell flowers. You'd walk up the staircase, you smell flowers. They had them all over the place. I'm like, is that real? Is that real? Sure enough, it was. And they've cut down on so much of what makes that special. It's
even the little stuff like the floral arrangements and how Disney has been cutting back on the operational costs of these parks, right? We can go into it forever, but with the Grand Floridian itself, I mean, think about the band that used to play there, right?
Yes.
Still heartbreaking.
Oh.
Absolutely heartbreaking. I knew
Come on, that whole space is made for it. Now they just have some pond fronds or something right there taking up that space
They
next to the Enchanted Rose Bar.
Yeah, it's just like the overflow area for the Enchanted Rose Bar. Yeah, it's not. I remember going there like in the evening, and you walk in, and there's that big, huge band that was there, and the atmosphere was just amazing. There was nothing, nothing.
It used to be another Disney difference thing was it used to be if you were in the Grand Floridian around 5 p.m. or so, the band was playing, and they would exchange with the grand piano player, and they would pass around like little snack and hors d'oeuvres, just samplers, just because. And it's just one of those things where you're not expecting it, you don't know where it's coming from, and it really that was the Disney magic that I don't know where it went. I don't know.
It's just these whittling away by degrees, right? It's
absolutely
decline by degrees, and it's so tragic. It's so sad. We got to get back to that. Just because it doesn't necessarily show up on a spreadsheet in terms of guest consumer feedback or other metrics that you would use to necessarily justify the expense of those things doesn't mean it doesn't make an impact to guests' enjoyment and revisitation and the emotions that they take away with them to inspire them to either tell others or to come back again.
Absolutely. And speaking of that, it's the little things, the attention to detail, and especially when it comes to cleanliness. Now, I'm going to show this because I put this on Twitter. I want to say about a month ago. I went to Epcot. For some reason, they had one of their trams running from, was it the Earth Lot? Okay, whichever one Rocket is in, that's where they had the tram that came from. So I get on this tram, and I'm like, I have never seen a dirty tram like this. Oh, well, daggone it, I went the wrong way. Okay, well, I don't want you guys to see that part. But literally, and where did hold on, my picture disappeared. Okay, let me try this again. My picture disappeared. It's like I stepped onto this tram, and I'm like, you've got to be kidding me.
Oh.
This was the first thing in the morning. Okay, not that had been, running around for a couple of hours and there's gum on the seat or whatever. No, this is first thing in the morning, and it's that dirty, and it just hit me. I was like, I've never been in a tram that looked this dirty, and it's like, with people spending so much money to come to the parks, you can't have this. You can't have, the trams looking nice. I remember when the Magic Kingdom would get hosed down every night. Because if you stayed during the extra magic hours, you would see like some of the cast members, washing stuff down, cleaning things up, preparing for the next day. But no, it's just awful. Yeah, it needs both, Cynthia Carter. I've never seen this like this. It's just it's sad to see, because Disney used to be the epitome of show. Everything from as soon as you get on the property, every step of the way, it was about show and about that presentation. This is like Six Flags things going on. If Six Flags had a tram, they don't have a tram, but
They used to.
they did. They did?
They did. When I was growing up, they had they had parking lot trams.
I
Long time.
believe in Magic Mountain, I think they got the old glamour trams from Universal. I think it's where they wound up. They did. It wasn't very impressive, but we have seen, I think recently, the scaling back of maintenance, the scaling back of just the quality standards.
The last few times that I have personally been in Epcot, and this is really weird because it's not even allowed in the parks, but I have seen cigarette butts literally on the walkways, like the main walkways in Epcot. And I'm like, I'm assuming that maybe they're coming from construction workers and they flick them out and they go over the wall or something. I had to point one out. I pointed one out to a custodial cast member who didn't see it and came over to clean it up. There was another one over by Guardians. And I was like, where are these coming from? It's not allowed in the parks anymore. When it was allowed in the parks, this is one of the reasons they ended up getting rid of it. But they weren't even anywhere near where the old, smoking areas were. So I'm like, it's just weird.
Well, they're not following through on enforcing the rules. They don't. I don't know if I should probably say this. They've cut back on staffing across the board, and that might be in some areas where normally people would be paying attention to given areas of the park, which is kind of concerning because the heavy reliance on cameras, and I know Vash knows what I'm talking about, has created a false sense of, well, we'll figure out what's happening. No.
The loss of third shift is probably the most profound right here, and that has led to all kinds of issues, all kinds of problems. I know at Disneyland they had to shut down restrooms earlier than park close in order for the second shift cast members to deal with the bathroom, so that the workload is taken off of the third shift, which is, that creates all sorts of problems, as one can surmise. But this can also have devastating consequences. Culture, I'm sure you know a lot about this. Lorena, please, if you could share my screen just for a second, I can show you a little bit of that. This just happened a couple of days ago right here. Speaker falls on these railings, and you can see the force of the impact right here. If you know Disney railings, this is a lot of force to have created this, and the post rotted away. Again, this was only 5 months or so after this had happened another time. In that time, a gal was taken away to the hospital.
She got hit.
We actually don't know.
An older lady.
Right. We don't know her status, but you can just imagine how heavy and how damaging these things can be. In this case, I don't think anybody was hurt. I'm still investigating the story. But it's very important to have a minimum standard and maintain those standards at these parks. Again, when you scan your ticket, as park ops, the lives of your guests are in your hands from that point on.
Yeah.
And so we've seen devastating consequences in prior years when these standards were adhered to. Think about the Paul Presser or Cynthia Harris days with the Salem Strip Columbia or Big Thunder Mountain Railroad. And to see some of this stuff kind of creep back in, very, very, very concerning. Again, this is the second time in 5 months something like this has happened.
And well, the worst part is this is all preventable maintenance. See, back when they used to have overnight shifts, right? Third shift, that's all they did. I know, I know, because I witnessed what they would do at night. Lights, the house lights come on, not the show lights. House lights come on. You have people working, in areas. Some are in the dark. They clean the streets. They do everything. In fact, the last thing they do is the street cleaning part. But they get everything to. We just opened this park today for the very first time condition. That's their job. You had horticulture come in like at stupid o'clock in the morning so that they could, get everything replaced that needed to be replaced, or completely redo Mickey's head at the entryway. Vash knows what I'm talking about. Like, all this stuff happened in the middle of the night, including all the engineers that went in and did maintenance inspections and repairs and stuff like that, so that you didn't have like staggered openings. You didn't need them because everything was ready to go from the moment, the rope dropped.
And even before it, that, they had, Disneyland would be closed for 2 days in the week. It'd be closed Tuesdays and Wednesdays, and Knott's would kind of be closed, I think, Wednesdays and Thursdays or something like that, or the Mondays. They would trade off. But with those 2 days, you can get a lot of stuff done. Then they went to a kind of a 24/7 operation right there. Right. The reliance on third shift became much greater, but obviously those roles, they pay a lot, especially for skilled workers. So they've cut back, for the past 40 years or so. And unfortunately, it has led to what you're seeing on screen right here. And, when I hear the $7.5 billion cuts that Bob Iger's touted recently and stuff like that, I go, where is that coming from? Because you can only cut so much until you get into those standards that we were mentioning beforehand.
Especially when you're talking about staffing. Because how many times have I done live streams in the morning and we've gone past e-ticket attractions that aren't running? And this is the first thing in the morning. Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, Pirates of the Caribbean, that's my favorite. More often than not, it's not running, and they just have the cast members out saying, "Oh, it's not running right now. Check the app," or whatever. These are big attractions that never used to be closed, like that Rise of the Resistance. Well, that one's always had freaking issues. It's a surprise if it is running, first thing in the morning. But stuff like Tower of Terror, why are these attractions?
Well, that attraction should be dialed in every day, and it has been. Once they got all the hiccups out of the way, especially in Florida, I mean, that thing runs like a watch. So there's zero reason for that not to run, like, from the word go. So
yeah,
it's there's a lot of bad things going on. So
it's between, when you're talking about maintenance, I guess maintenance not giving the right instructions about the the LEDs.
Well, but it's also Disney cheaping out. They went from these beautifully designed fiberglass boats in Pirates to these Rubbermaid tubs of folding, and the fiberglass could stand up to it. They had a pretty good tolerance for the smashing around and everything else that happens every time you have a drop, especially in Disneyland. But when they got these Rubbermaid boats, they turned into complete garbage bendy messes. They just weren't prepared for the torsional situations that they would run into throughout the attraction. And mind you, that attraction runs all day when it's not, on delay, and it's carrying a bunch of people. Would you rather have a boat that's tried and true and has decades of resilience? Oh, thank you.
Yes.
These are garbage. This is the same problem that happens in freaking Small World everywhere. Anywhere they use these Rubbermaid things, it's like, oh, why? Why? The originals were perfect. Just remake the original. Yes, it takes more time. Yes, it's more expensive, but they're way more durable. Oh, irritating. Irritated.
You can see an image of these right here.
Isn't
Let me
that
see if
gross?
it's the originals.
So ugly. Yeah. I mean, it's like, who would want to step in,
Those are bulletproof.
doing that?
Those
Yeah,
are bulletproof. Those are
just-
not.
They did eventually overcome these issues with these boats, but you had to keep it in your mind, like, how did you let it get to this point, and have you corrected the cadence so that it doesn't get to this point
Yes.
again? That's the issue. So they'll do a change out, like Culture was saying. They'll change the material of the boats, but they won't actually change the maintenance procedures, that maybe require more or less maintenance when you use different materials. So we'll get these kind of issues. Sorry, Lorena, you were going to say.
No, I was going to say, I remember, okay, this is back in the day when there were extra magic hours in the evening, regardless of what level of hotel you stayed at. I remember seeing Disney maintenance actively fixing things, actively setting things up, even, repainting chairs, I guess, that the paint got nicked or whatever. I always saw that like activity going on. And it's so disconcerting to see that they've let things get this bad, and there's no real reason
None.
for them things to get this bad. It's like, if I am, I'm bringing my family to Disney World and I go to to Small World and you've got black mold on the side of the boat. Really? And it costs how much to come here? I mean, ugh.
Makes me wonder if there's been a huge increase in the number of broken stuff backstage. When I worked there was always like broken Dumbo cars and different things, just hanging out backstage. But there's a ton more of that now that just clutters some of the backstage areas, like behind Fantasyland and stuff.
What we have been seeing, I'm glad you brought that up, Ron, because recently we have been seeing Disney maintenance and so forth, or I should say, it's a combination between maintenance and Imagineering. They'll go for like the off-the-shelf items that you can pick up at, like, I'm serious, Home Depot, Lowe's, or other places, in order to fill out your themed space. For example, Pirates of the Caribbean's queue at Disneyland featured these beautiful, custom-made, custom-fabricated lampposts and so forth, and sconces. And they recently changed some of those out with this Home Depot off-the-shelf item. And one of the reasons to do that is because think about the fabrication process with something that's custom rather than something that's store-bought, where if something does get damaged, you can replace those on a more regular cadence.
You're talking about beautiful sand-casted iron posts that last forever.
Yeah.
And it's worth it because it's unique. This is what's happening to Disney inside and out. If you go to the hotels, let's go to the hotels. If you go to the hotels and you look around, and Lorena, you've recently been there. Ron, you've recently been there. You experience like this really unique experience, especially in the original Grand Californian. And now that they're tearing up Wilderness, it's probably your last time to see that. Eventually, Animal Kingdom is going to downgrade their custom furniture and bedding and all that other stuff. You will end up with all these, like, on the outside, they look great. On the inside, it's a freaking Marriott. And that's not good. That's not the Disney difference. That's the, cheap knockoff, Gucci bag. That's what Disney's now become. They're a knockoff of themselves. Hello.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So it's like, it makes me angry when I think about it. When I was over at Bay Lake Tower, and I went over to the Contemporary, and I'm looking around, I'm just like, why is it, the Incredibles? Why is it this particular, IP? It's like it's everywhere. The Polynesian. I won't even get into the fact of how they took out the darn the atrium that they had on the inside. Like when you walk, and I had to show my my viewers, it's like when you approach the Polynesian, there's this gorgeous outside waterfall and pools that are going on, and it's like all this movement and smells and everything, and you walk in the lobby and boom, guess what? Looks like a waiting room at the Hilton.
Yeah,
Oh,
they
I
took
thought
out
it was
the
a La
relic.
Quinta.
Nice.
I kept telling everybody it looked like the La Quinta.
Yeah,
La
culture says
Quinta.
the La Quinta.
La Quinta.
It was
I-
just sad.
You know, if you're a cast member though, you can you can buy all the nice stuff for like $10 at the cast members cast
Oh, yeah.
connections shop, property control they call it. There's I can tell you that a number of chairs in my place were purchased there. That it's funny. I haven't been there in a while. I still have friends that I go with as a guest sometimes. But there's an area where they're reselling the beautiful headboards that they had at the Grand Floridian that they've exchanged out. You could buy those headboards for, I think it was maybe $19, $19 or $20. I mean, these are like $1,000
any
headboards.
left? If there's any left,
that was last year. That was a year ago.
All right.
Wish.
Well, go. I tell you what, if you need to connect with me, Ron, because I'm going to go on a shopping spree because I want to.
Yeah.
I want to be able to copy that later on. Oh, and then there we go.
I
Like
want those tiki lamps.
the custom carved art stuff rather than this. This thing flipping pissed me off.
I had no words when I saw this. It's like, you mean to tell me you're going to go from these beautiful carved pieces of art in Splash Mountain, and it totally adds to the aesthetic that of the attraction. You're going to go from something you can pick up. Like, where did they buy this from? Like Lowe's or Home Depot or something like that?
BlackForestDecor.com.
Oh,
And you can buy the old Fort Wilderness cabins now for $49,000 if you want.
Well, that's something that's going to be probably more authentic there. But they replaced gorgeous custom pieces that were sometimes hand chiseled.
Yeah, but what do you expect from a company that decided to put Pizza Huts on stilts in the lagoon to block the beach view?
well, I'm still pissed at that.
You realize that was one of the rooms. One of my most amazing trips I ever took was the lagoon view of the Magic Kingdom, staying overlooking that beautiful thing in the Poly. Right, I like every time I stayed at Disney was important. Like I stayed in the Grand Floridian in one of the tower suites. I stayed in the Contemporary. Right, I stayed in the Poly with that incredible view. That view's gone. Right, the beach gatherings. Right, they're very limited now. You used to be able to gather on the beach to watch the water show, the electric water parade, right, and the fireworks, and the music was piped out to the beach. You used to have, if you stayed on property, the best possible experience, and that was the difference, right? Now they hand all that out to Hilton and the Bonnet Creek resorts and everything else. Like all their Disney friendly hotels get access to the same perks that you do if you pay way more and stay on property. So why? I freaking hate these things.
That's behind. Let's see. I know it blocks a part of the Hawaii building. I know
Making
that
it great.
concierge level. Tokelau, I think. Because you could stay there and you had, because that was
So
the thing. You had a beautiful, unobstructed view of the lagoon for the water parade and especially the fireworks. The fireworks hit different when you're watching from the Polynesian because you see the reflection, on the water. Now you got these things out here messing with sightlines.
They call those the Bora Bora bungalows, and what's so funny to me is that it is actually less expensive to go and rent a real bungalow in Bora Bora. It is over $3,500 per night to rent one of those. I know this because that was one of the first things that I ever sold when I was working for Disney Vacation Club. And while you are on the other side, you have that unblocked view. You don't have a beach. What you do have is 7:00 in the morning. It starts the transportation, and you have the loud foghorns, and you're paying $3,500 a night for a disrupted experience. And they're only 2 bedrooms. I don't know why they built those. I mean, well, I do know they can make more money, but
that was pretty much the deal. It's like between that, and I won't even go into the let's see, the Honolulu hotel, or excuse me, the DVC that they're building over that gorgeous stretch of beach
I
between
do.
Polynesian and the Grand Floridian. And remember the cheesy luau, but we just loved it because it was cheesy, and that's why people liked it. Well, they got rid of all of that. Now they've got a DVC shoved up in
That
there, and it
building
does not.
is hideous.
Isn't it hideous?
I get mad every time I pass it on the monorail because I'm watching them build it. And I'm going, wow, just like bury the magic. It's so tough, especially since how do you have the Polynesian without a luau? That's so weird.
I know. Universal still has theirs.
It's awful. That is awful.
It doesn't. It's the one thing about at Walt Disney World is that they took so much pride in the landscaping and how everything looks. Like even when you're taking the monorail from the parks, it's like you can only see the Polynesian at a certain angle, and then it kind of disappears. It magically appears, But now they have this tower. It looks like Waikiki. All Lani looks more authentic than this, and that's the Disney hotel that's in Hawaii that they built. That one has a lot of cultural touches. This just looks like a Hilton.
This is that Gensler effect we were talking about, right?
Yeah. It's like, what does this add?
I think they took reflections. It's like they took what they were going to do for reflections and put it over there. The reflections was going to be the DVC hotel at Fort Wilderness, which that area, which was river country, is plowed and nothing's being done with it. It's very sad.
Nightshade Hellas, I wanted to bring this up here. Thank you for being here. Says we stayed at the Grand Floridian last month for $1,000 a night, and they shut off the water for maintenance as soon as we arrived back, so we couldn't shower or use the bathroom. And they didn't give you a refund?
No showers in Florida? Or
use the bathroom?
That's rough.
That is inexcusable. I remember back in the day, if something like that happened at the Polynesian, you would get a call from like the concierge or whoever the manager was on duty or whatever to say, we're sorry for the inconvenience. We can do this for you, do that for you. But just to shut it off like for $1,000 a night, no.
The other reports that I've heard from guests, similar types of things where, and I don't even know which hotel it is, but they have checked in and I do know what it was. It was Old Key West, and they came back to their room. The entire room was flooded. Like, these are personal friends of mine. And the room was flooded with like 3 to 6 inches of water in the bottom. They had to quickly get their stuff out before their stuff got ruined, and had to change. It was an absolute mess. I don't know if Disney did. I know they changed their room. I don't know what else they might have done for them, but where these maintenance concerns are they're literally all over the place. Like the whole resort, in the hotels, in the parks, everywhere. It's so weird. I remember a very specific time when I was at the Polar. It was called the Polar Express in the wintertime at SeaWorld. And I remember looking up and seeing the paint right on the ceiling and how the paint was peeling off. And this was a while back. It was like a decade ago. And I remember thinking this would never happen at Disney World. I mean, that's how it was back then. And now it's happening all over the Disney World. There is no Disney difference anymore.
Yeah, wow, they used to call it recovery. I don't know what they call it now, but recovery used to be top notch. And if Ash knows, you would experience some very bad circumstance, situation, yada yada, and the team would do everything they could to recover you for future visits. They would go above and beyond because, believe it or not, when a bad experience happens to a guest at Disney and they go above and beyond in recovery, they create a more loyal customer in that process. It because of that quote unquote Disney difference and the fact that, oh no, we're going to give you like 16 fast passes, right? We're going to do this for you. Look, we're going to comp breakfast for you at, at the Polynesian. You're going to be set. We are sorry this experience. We have a brand fresh suite for you. It is all ready for you to move into. In fact, we're upgrading you. Now you have a theme park view. I mean, it was like they went like 10 steps deep, right? And they would do all of that because it immediately created this reciprocal relationship where you were like, wow, they did that much for me. I owe them. That is the mindset that Walt adopted from the very beginning. But recovery, guest recovery was paramount in the way Disney operated. They don't do that anymore. It's very minuscule things now.
I remember, I want to say probably a couple of years ago, I had to go to guest services for something, guest relations, and this family was there with this little girl, and it turns out that the little girl had like this favorite, like their favorite little stuffy. Well, it got lost, and they couldn't find it, and they were asking, has anyone turned it in? Can they find it? Little girl was really upset. The parents were really upset. And the cast member guest services said, I know we can't replace what you got lost, but here's a $50, gift card to use at the Emporium. It's like, I know it won't replace what you lost, but maybe it'll give you like some new memories of your visit. I'm like, wow, that's freaking awesome. I'm like, I would not have even thought about that. But the way that they understood the situation and created a recovery, like Culture was saying, that would actually say, hey, Disney actually, they're, they want to take care of us. They're worried about us. Even the lady from guest services that talked to the little girl, she said, I said, I'm sorry you lost it, but maybe you could bring a new friend home. And that was wonderful, to see. That's the type of stuff that used to happen. Now at guest services,
Now, I can say from personal experience, I have participated myself in those recovery experiences. And as a cast member, when I was a cast member, I was huge into that. If I heard from a guest that something had happened to them in a different area, and it was typically it was almost always an area where I was not working at the time.
Attractions.
I would do everything that I could with my managerial staff to help recover that situation. And I was very, very fortunate. I worked with some managers that also had that same mindset. They were old school Disney. But I can also tell you, on my way out of the, from the company, exiting from the company, there were more and more that was being authorized less and less and less and less. And there were very few areas where you could get away with that more. There were, I know that my supervisor was like, yes, we're going to do this. And then he was kind of getting instruction to back off of that kind of a thing. And it was like, why? I mean, it's helping out so much. And that was one of the things that made it very difficult for me when I was in that interim spot of my mindset was that cast member that always wanted to go above and beyond for the guests and do everything to make them have this amazing experience. Whereas coming from above, the messaging from above was, let's see how much of that we can cut back on. And I know that messaging was more pervasive, certainly in other areas than where I was working. It was just like very isolated, but it's been really, really bad over the last few years. And I think that part of this is that ideology of, it's just like taking away the Disney look, not taking away, but like relaxing the Disney look. As a cast member, taking it from a different place, not like a cast member at Disney, but a cast member in a show. When you put your uniform on, when you put your costume on,
Yes.
Even Batman says this. Like Michael Keaton said it. He's like, let the costume do the acting for you when you're Batman, right? Well, as a cast member, it was the same type of thing. You put your costume on, you look a certain way. You had They even told us when I was working for DVC, they talked about the gig line in the military and how perfect that needed to be, and these different things. And now they've relaxed all of those standards to where now you can have tattoos up and down your arms, and nothing wrong with having them, but like there's ways that they had before of not showing those things and making that fantasy experience, that show for the guests, so important. And I don't think that they even knew what they were doing when they relaxed that to say, the show is not as important for the guests. And it's not one of those things that people talk about because it seems superficial, but it's one of those emotional issues. When you walked inside Disney World a few years ago, you disconnected from the real world. Now you see a lot of the real world just kind of being in there, and you don't feel different.
And Disney had some of the greatest graphic artists in the world, right? They really did. For example, on my head, I'm wearing the original Club 33 logo on my hat. I don't wear other people's stuff very often. I wear my own stuff. I wear my friends' stuff, and I might wear some, things that I care about stuff. But this logo persisted forever since Walt. Okay, this is something that has existed forever in that form until they recently changed it. They create for everything its own iconography, from the show elements, which Ron's talking about, which is the uniforms, the costumes, all of that. You are on stage as a cast member from the moment you step out from backstage. That's why it's called that. There's a reason there. If you talk to a plaid, those people are dressed to they are perfect. They walk out, their hair is like perfect. Everything about them is perfect when a plaid steps out, right? And there's a reason for that. They were the pinnacle presentation for the parks. But everybody from the janitorial services all looked the same. Uniforms were perfect. They did everything the same. This carried over to other successful theme parks later because they wanted to mimic Disney because it was a successful strategy. It was a little more relaxed over at Universal because I know I have friends who've worked both places, but they still have appearance standards. So the fact that when they dropped that, they created a less qualified, thank you KMG, experience for the guest, a less qualified candidate that was working for the company, because these are our appearance standards. If this is because you're on stage, they can do something different. By the way, when you're called a cast member and you are being presented as somebody that's on stage, right? It's different because you're not like a regular employee. There can be appearance standards. You can require that. Same thing in Vegas when they hire female models to serve drinks. There's a reason for that. There's appearance standards that go along with it because essentially you are a cast member when you work at a casino in that capacity. Models who serve, right? That's the same thing that happens in the high-end bars. Models who serve. There are appearance standards for a reason. It's to get the top tier people, which you should be paying top tier money, which is an entirely other conversation. If you did that at the theme parks, like, you wouldn't need as many employees as Disney needs now, which they're way behind getting the right support in the parks, but that's entirely the conversation. But if you had overly qualified people that were there adhering to the standards, you would be far better off. That's just the world we live in now with Disney, and it reflects everywhere. I don't know if you have this, Lorena or Vash, but if you walk around the parks, you shouldn't see peeling paint. That's an appearance standard for the park. The park is a set. The set should be perfect. It should be perfect every day. So peeling paint is a badness. That's why when they do full level remodels of the exteriors, right, of the facades, they cover them in a scrim that represents the what the building should look like in its best possible state. And we're miles away from that. You shouldn't have poles falling down, hurting people. You shouldn't have any of that. Anyway, I can rant on this
No,
all day.
I mean it reminds me also of. I mean, I've seen that the theater for the longest time, and they finally fixed it for the Muppets. The seats were just cracking and just looked absolutely just disgusting. With just no, and then the Jungle Cruise. Part of when you go into the temple.
Yeah.
Well, something happened over there, and they had a tarp over it for like days. They had a tarp over it, and it was, it just looked so it just looked so out of place. Like they couldn't think to like camouflage it or something. And
wait! We just saw some camouflage netting. It's on the Jungle Cruise right now, hiding the things that are falling down and crumbling away. After a refurb, by the way, where it was more important to replace something that might be culturally disturbing for 7 or 8 people, instead of fixing the falling apart, show building. Let's
But let's put Trader Sam out of a job.
There you go.
Trader Sam did nothing wrong, but somebody who definitely didn't do something wrong. Thank you, Jay, for those 5 gifted Reina Creole memberships. I appreciate that. Thank you so very much, you guys. Make sure you're opting in for memberships, because when we have generous people like Jay, gift memberships, you have a chance to get one. Oh, Vash, you got the picture? Oh,
I do. I do. Oh boy, you guys better get ready for this one.
Oh my goodness!
What's with the carpet?
It literally, yeah. I mean, and this was in this state 4 months. Now they recently did refurbish it because, again, Walt Disney World News Today calls it out. It's like, I guess we have to do something.
They went straight Naugahyde with it, didn't they? Because that's fabric. Is that fabric?
I don't think it's fabric.
No.
I think you're right. I think they did go Naugahyde.
No,
yeah.
I think it's a vinyl that sticks to you.
It's
not,
on
the
a hot summer day.
Yes,
you're gonna park your little booty and legs in your shorts, which are already sweaty and grody, and you're gonna set yourself on those Naugahyde chairs and have a terrible experience.
Clever.
And by the way, that is the reason why the seats do get dirty. But you know what they used to do? They used to clean the fabric. I know. I don't ask me how I know, but I know.
It's supposed to look just like a theater, on Broadway, but even better, an exact replica of the Muppet Show theater. Everything. Right. The whole feel,
God.
All of that.
That is not rich Corinthian leather.
No.
That's amazing.
Oh man! This looks very much. And somebody said it in the chat. Thanatos Felicitas. It does. These seats look like what you would find where Paul Rubens was, arrested.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
It's what is it? It's upholstered leather, but mostly pleather. Is that right?
Yeah.
Is that
mostly pleather? Yeah.
No.
Oh my God.
By the way, that's still one of the best scenes in the Mexican. Naugahyde.
Here's that.
That's the yes. See this. Okay. By the way, Vash is one of my favorite people on the planet because he has like this instant ability to go, oh yeah, that. Oh yeah, that. Oh yeah.
Yeah, he'll find it for you. Just when you maybe hinting that you maybe find something. I got it.
But that's a net, kids. That's there because this beautifully, intricately carved facade that should have been being maintained the whole time wasn't, but is falling apart and like falling down. Like you think I'm kidding? Like chunks of facade coming down. That's not supposed to happen.
It's in rough shape, obviously.
Oh my gosh!
I remember that. It was like, why? Well, we know why, but it's just like it would have been an embarrassment back in the day. Disney wouldn't even think of having it look like this. Something would have been done to it overnight where you wouldn't have known that something was wrong, but they just let this sit out there.
And look, okay, so there's 100 and something disciplines that fall into Imagineering, and like there you have these amazing sculptors. They're the reason that the rocks look like rocks. But they've outsourced not all of those jobs, but most of those jobs almost entirely, which means they don't have the in-house artisans that they used to have. You can tell because they went outside and hired this stupid architectural firm to come in and destroy Splash Mountain. That's how bad off we are at Disney right now. You didn't have in-house people doing that, destroying Splash Mountain to give you Tiana's mud pile of garbage.
Hobby Lobby floral aisle.
I don't care.
Mine.
But that's my point. So the facade there with the camouflage net on it, that's covering up something beautiful. Why?
Speaking of animatronic extravaganzas, or maybe not.
Oh, no.
I don't know. We'll have to see. Ron wanted me to bring this up as well.
This happens regularly, though.
Oh,
Yeah, I watched this happen in real time one time. Thing just folded. Yeah, but not like that. I mean, it literally folded.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah.
One time I watched. Well, let's not talk about that. But this happens. This is this Hall of Presidents or is this?
Yeah.
This would be Hall
Lincoln's-
of Presidents. Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right.
yeah, Hall of Presidents.
For sure.
Wow.
It happens though. I mean, look,
That
these
one's been
things.
there for a long.
Well, the old ones, yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah, the old ones. Okay, so that's the thing, and then there actually is a system that shuts it down, which is good because otherwise they would destroy themselves. But these original animatronics or these older ones. They're heavy as heck. The framework is metal, so and they require a lot to move them. A lot of the systems that are in place that needed to be upgraded along with the refurbs didn't get upgraded along with the refurbs. There was a nitrogen line that was cut to the Muppets, Muppet Vision 3D in Florida, in the Studios Park, that actually caused some major downtime there because that's how they were pressurizing these to operate rather than hydraulics. So
Gotcha.
compressed liquid or gas is what helps make these move. They're moving to piezoelectric linear actuators now, which is what you're going to get when you get the new Country Bears bologna sausage garbage-tasticness. But the problem with that is now you have these, unless they rebuild the figures entirely, you have these metal frames that are going to be operating on these electrical implements. And this is the thing I wanted to do an entire video about on that Park Place, but you literally are not going to be able to count on the reliability of animatronics. This happens very rarely, okay? But if you start to use piezoelectric linear actuators with things that are this heavy, they will not last very long.
Well,
You'll
and
be
that's
replacing them regularly. Go ahead.
and that's why, you know, as amazing as some of these things look, and we can get into a little bit of this. As amazing as some of these look, not that one, but
Yeah, Charles
She's great.
Cottery.
By the way, the lady that's in that picture is a delightful human. I love her to pieces. So,
Okay.
keep going. All right.
So this is what I worry about, culture. And I think this is what you're talking about. These are the new animatronics that are going to be in Tiana's Tabasco Adventure here at Disneyland and Walt Disney World. And you can see some of them, I mean, look very, very fluid. They have a great range of articulation and motion. However, to your point, culture, I mean, we have seen modern animatronic figures featured in these attractions like Rise of Resistance, for example, most famously with Kylo Ren. They fail a lot. And so when you're looking at these animatronic figures in this attraction right here and how important these figures are to the attraction, I just kind of wonder, like, how many B modes do we have set up for this? Because we know some of these will go down. And look,
how do they make
please.
those waterproof? I'm just curious. Like, I mean, those will all be surrounded by like 99% humidity most of the time. How do they protect that aspect of them? I'm just curious.
Okay, so you can see. Okay, so they're using aluminum framing there, But every
Yeah.
single one of those actuators that you saw is piezoelectric. Those are electric actuators. They're different than
Right.
the ones that used to move the bigger bodies. These are going to be. Oh, help me out. The name fell out of my head. Does all the design. Just redid the Lincoln recently. 2 names. Famous studio. In California.
Garner Holt.
Gunnar Holt, yeah. Garner Holt is they're the preeminent. They from Sarco's 7 figures on, they kind of pioneer it, and then Imagineering works with them to kind of get where they need to go.
Right.
So, but these might be somewhat durable. I'm more worried about the skin on these, like everything that you're seeing, because one of the first things they figured out really fast on the Little Mermaid was that the skin on the animatronic would tear, like, because it just gets worn out from repetitive motions. It's not the same thing that they used to use in the mask technology, and they would hide everything. So if there's not enough compliance in the materials that they're using for the skin, you're going to have a breakdown. Animatronics are my thing, so it's just like, yeah.
Oh yeah, well it's what separates the big boys from the posers, right? I mean, animatronics is such a mainstay in Disney technology. Obviously, after the 1964-65 World's Fair, it's what really set them apart from everybody else. And so animatronics is and with Splash Mountain, it's huge because obviously you're taking the America Sings figures in the Disneyland version of the attraction, those amazing Mark Davis figures, and you're bringing them to Splash Mountain in order to maintain them, and then you're duplicating somewhat many of them for the Walt Disney World version. Now we're going with these brand new animatronics here. Like, for example, Louis, for instance, looks pretty good in terms of the range of motion, but you can see some wrinkling underneath his chin there.
It's not going to last long. It's not going to last long. See, I'm looking at all these things, and I'm looking at the folds. See, that's one of the things you want to. Even Tiana already has fold problems. Right now, if they cut underneath from the inside and they reinforce the outside at that point, they might basically have created a skin hinge for that. But I mean, when I look at this stuff, okay, so that's very basic motion, right?
Yeah.
These are more complicated. Any character that's going to sing at you or talk at you for an extended period of time, like Olaf in the Frozen attraction in Florida, there's a lot of weirdness. Now, notice how no animated faces are here.
Yeah,
they stopped for some reason. Vash, they stopped using animated faces.
Well, it required, I think, a little bit more maintenance than they necessarily anticipated because of recalibration and so forth. You'd have projectors burn out and all kinds of things would happen. Obviously, it was very difficult to get skin tones to match correctly on film and on camera. Those had problems as well. I just wonder the durability of these things going forward.
Right. So what I also find fascinating is these. Okay, so there was a mocap that happened to give the skeletal frame for these motions that that obviously these Imagineers are playing with, and to try to like smooth things out or whatever. The question is are those the most efficient motions? Like because you're basing this on a bipedal skeletal frame, most of these characters, are those the most efficient motions to go through? Or are you actually destroying the compliance that's built into the mechanicals nature of these creatures? So these are all things that would bother me. So if I was designing one of these figures, like I would go through the process of capturing what was going to be happening as a performance and then design the figure around that. I just hope they started there rather than, building a platform and then trying to get it to configure to what they wanted. So
it's going to be interesting to see. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Bash.
Well, I was just going to say there is in this where this footage is taken from primarily is from the we call it Imagineering series on YouTube, and they do describe this interplay between the clothing and the movements and how they sometimes the animators will have to back off a little bit in order so that the clothing can actually look natural and be on there and not have tears and so forth. So from what it looks like, they are kind of adjusting based on what they have to work with. But it is interesting.
I can tell they're using fabric with him
Yeah. Oh, it's
which,
definitely
which
fabric.
which is much better than like the skin that they use on the humanoid ones. The best humanoid animatronic I've ever seen. I know this is going to sound weird. It's not the Wicked Witch, which is definitely the best as far as performance went back all the way back in the Great Movie Ride. But
I agree.
Kylo's good, but has problems, and a lot of that's because of I'm just going to say it. The costuming he's wearing, he's moving too much weight, which is why his performance suffers and why he fails so often. But that's an entirely other conversation.
Yeah, so Kylo's a little weird because he looks like in some especially the final figure that you experience on Rise of the Resistance, he looks like a wacky waveful arm flinging tube man a little bit because of where his feet are and stuff like that. I'll say with Louis, yes, I do agree with you.
Yeah.
Probably a better pick of materials. However, because they've gone with this kind of felt like texture for him, he kind of looks like a big puppet and not necessarily a character come to life in the traditional sense.
Well,
and so that's my only issue with him.
But skin failure. Okay, so how you avoid skin failure is in costuming, right? Because you hide the creases. So that becomes so you have attachment points where a crease would be to a garment.
Right.
So the best creature or I hate to say it that way, the best animatronic you're going to see is on the Ascent in Spaceship Earth, in where you have a professor, learned man teaching mathematics.
Oh yeah. The Greek scene.
He's holding a compass in his hand. You know. And he's talking about it. First of all, number one, that's the best compliance I've ever seen, which is the natural body sway when you move and you stop and you just have a natural rock. But that mechanical compliance, you don't want to stop like he's doing. You want to have compliance, So it's got to be subtle and moving. You have to be. That's where fluidity comes from, compliance. But anyway, so what you're going to see when you see that character is probably the perfect design for animatronic. But that means that platform was designed to do that character with those motions. Prior to very recently, when you built a platform, it was very specific because it's built to the motion. It doesn't matter. We've gone way too long on this because I could do this for 4 hours.
I know you could, but it's interesting.
There it is.
Because that's my favorite animatronic in Spaceship Earth. He looks so real.
Yeah, as we move forward, we're going to get to him. He's in this beautiful period of time where the Greeks are teaching mathematics, and it's just like, there he is.
Yeah,
that is the best animatronic you're ever going to see because as he moves, look at him. It's very human. He's not herky jerky. The clothing adds to the performance because it adds to the compliance because it's shifting the weight, which requires the metal to move. It's just it's amazing.
So for that, can we thank the Phoenicians? Or
you can, everything you can thank. You know what? If they get rid of that line in the next iteration, I will. By the way, Vash, how's Project Gamma going?
Oh boy. So they did have. Okay, so they've had multiple iterations on what they were going to do with Spaceship Earth. Project Gamma goes all the way back to the 1990s, 2000s, where they were talking about. Yep. They were talking about putting a roller coaster on the inside of a Spaceship Earth. That didn't necessarily go very far. However, most recently, and they had announced this at the 2019 D23 Expo, that suggested that they were going to change the theme of Spaceship Earth to more of a storytelling or an emphasis on storytelling rather than communications, as it had always been. Yeah. They were going to adjust some things for sure, and maybe for some things for some modern sympathies. However, it looks like those plans have completely been erased because it's just there's so many things. Just Walt Disney World property, right? Wide, much more the entire resort or the entire theme park division. There are bigger fish to fry, as we would say.
Like Wonders of Life.
That pavilion's got tumbleweeds going by.
Throw a stone in any direction, you'll probably hit something that needs work.
Okay, so you have the weenie, in Epcot. That's Spaceship Earth, right? You always have a weenie in the park. That's Walt's term, not mine. And it's not talking about that. It's not talking about a hot dog.
It's a hot dog.
It's talking about the thing that draws your attention, your center. It's the core. It's the heart. That's what it is, right? And it has to be big. It has to be brash, but it has to be recognizable. It is oftentimes the center point. Now, interestingly enough, Epcot was built with two center points. You had Spaceship Earth and you had the American Experience on the other side of the lagoon. But the ultimate thing was Spaceship Earth. It is an engineering marvel. The pilings that were driven at an angle that is, I don't know if we could do it again. It's like the pyramids. I don't know how we're going to do that again. But what it did is it really kind of centered the park. And the front of the park was Future World, still is. I don't care what they say. There are no neighborhoods or districts or any of this garbage. It's just like you had the front of the park, which is the future, and the back of the park, which was the cultural center. So you had future and cultural center. So you had these kind of this bifurcated parks, but in a way, you were always drawn to the future. Everybody always is. And it was an educational experience, which we've gotten away from edutainment. But with that structure, the idea was to give you a dramatic path from the beginning of our ability to talk to each other to where we would go. So the halfway point was when we got to space. The 1970s were well represented there, and slightly beyond. What we anticipated would be the 2000s, where you had families on their way commuting to the moon base or Mars or whatever. Well, we didn't quite get there. But on the way back, you had foreshadowing of other attractions that were around you. So if your first experience was the in-your-face attraction that was in the middle of this giant weenie at the front of the park, everything else around you built on it. And what's weird is everything around that was there took you back to the middle of the park. So it was this really beautiful way of like having synergy, which Disney doesn't do anymore.
No.
Okay, I got to stop.
No.
We will be here for 17 hours and I'll miss my show.
It's like a black hole. Now, don't even get me started on the Leisure Garden.
I do apologize, Lorena. I'm sorry.
Starring the birth of Figment. I'll just leave it. I'll just leave it at that.
You want me to get going on Figment? Okay, so here is an attraction.
Oh, no.
Imagination, right? So you literally would. They killed it. They took away 2/3 of the attraction and Dreamfinder so we could get fart smell.
Yeah. Florida water smell. I laugh, but literally I can't tell you how many attractions in Epcot have just gotten dumbed down. They've gone from the edutainment, as Culture and I like to talk about, to just look at this squirrel, look at this, look at that. So now the courtyard that used to be the Fountain of Nations now it looks like a big outdoor Starbucks. Pretty much is exactly.
Didn't they put a pole dancing show in there?
Which one?
Then they just put a pole dancing show in there the other day.
Oh, you're talking about the
which one? Which one?
No. Okay, so they put a merry-go-round with dancers hanging around.
Oh, the cage and poles dancing show.
That was the dude pole dancing thing. Yeah, I'm like, excuse me? What now?
Who thought? Get this. Epic Universe makes this huge announcement about Isle of Berk, that section of Epic Universe. I'm gonna pull up this super chat from Kiss My Girls. They dropped that with this amazing video with a fly through and all the stuff that's great that's coming to this park to get you hyped up. They're talking about dragons flying around and walking around like the banthas we did not get at Galaxy's Edge. So they're going to have these things walking around. Universal make this huge announcement, and what does Disney follow that up with? Cage dancers. Somebody in a cage and hanging on a pole, supposedly going to be Mother Nature, and the elements, not the cool, beautiful artistry of like Divine out at the Animal Kingdom, just blending in Oh gosh, she's
And it,
awesome.
Okay, so as far as market share, let's talk about it. So you're going to see somewhere between 20 and 35% of Disney's market share evaporate in the next 18 months. Why? Because they're opening up probably the most complete theme park that's ever been put together in a very long time. How did they do it? They went out and hired all my friends that used to work at Disney Imagineering, and guess what they put together? It was really freaking simple. I'm beside myself. Look, I got a show to go to at some point, so we got to wrap. I am angry now. Why? Why did you do this to me?
I don't know. We had to do it. We had to do it. Therapeutic. But yes, I truly hope Epic Universe and Universal put a significant dent in WDW's attendance levels in 25-26, that it forced a significant change at Disney. Well, thank you for that $5. Kiss my grits. Yes, considering where Epic Universe is, how much space that it has, and the attractions that are, man, they're on. I don't know what they're taking to get these people to put all this stuff together, but it's insane. Helios Hotel. Oh my God, it's gorgeous. It's
fun driving by there.
Yeah,
Just watch
it's
the
absolutely
evolution of it.
gorgeous. It's just
So
like
good.
I can't believe how fast all this stuff is coming together.
There are like several surprises that we have not been made. We're not privy to. Right. Well, some of us are, but you're, I mean, there's stuff coming that I'm like going, you're really doing that? Plus the show that they put together in China that's going to be in that area
Oh,
in
yes.
Burke. That's a knockout show. And with the American like ingenuity that's been added to it since it came over from China. By the way, Universal isn't scared of making something better than what they did in China like Disney is. Disney gave you discount Tron. You know, like honestly, the kiddie coaster version, instead of giving you an advanced version of that here in the States. And it's still uncomfortable as heck, and it's less than a minute.
Yeah.
They needed to do better. You need to do better, Senator.
Yeah. Matter. Mark Daly for $5 says parks don't have enough money for maintenance, but the movie division can make more turkeys and Butterball at $1 billion each and maybe net half. Thank you for that, Mark Daly, and you are not wrong about that whatsoever. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. But what I will definitely say, there are some things that that we still love about the parks and everything. But it's like, look, Disney is not the experience that it used to be, and Universal has made it plain they are coming for Disney's market share. And if the DreamWorks Kids, that section that they're redoing over by ET, you've got Shrek's house, you've got a roller coaster. It looks like
Zelda.
so much fun. I can't wait for Zelda, Pokemon.
By the way, there are 7 areas to expand into at Epic Universe, and they have an option on land that's adjacent for another theme park. Universal will have 4 legitimate theme parks very soon. I'm not going to say when because it might be a few years out, but they're not messing around. It's better for them to invest $4 or $5 billion in a theme park than it is for them to spend that money on making theatrical productions. And Universal has learned that. Disney abandoned that. That's the world we live in. Sorry, I'm going to shut up because I'm
It's
angry
a whole lot that's coming that Universal has. So much stuff. But anyway, speaking of Epic Universe, yes, Saturday I'm going to be having an Epic Universe planner stream. All you folks who are thinking about going to Epic Universe, or even if you're thinking about going to Universal in the meantime, we're going to catch you up on all the information, give you some insider, observant information if you're trying to stay there, what you're interested in, what's exactly in that particular area, and of course, answer as many questions as I can. So, first of all, thanks to all of my panelists, Culture, of course, my wingman, my special guests, Ron and Bash. Thank you guys so much for being here. Why don't we go around the horn, talk about what we've got going on and where folks can see you, starting with Bash.
Hey, the best place to find me is going to be at That Park Place, where Lorena and Culture have definitely contributed to in the past. So if you haven't yet, please subscribe. And we are launching a new channel, That Park Place Podcast Online, or T3PO, April 15th. That channel is available now, by the way, so you can go ahead and start subscribing to that one. But we will be posting a lot of long-form content on there, some clips from streams from both Pro's channel and That Park Place. So that'll be a lot of fun for sure. We're also going to debut a gaming channel pretty soon here. Culture, you know a little bit about that, don't you?
Excited. I'm so excited about the
yes.
gaming channel. I know that Park Place. We are working on some very special stuff. Vash is going to just drop the hammer over on T3PO. Did I get that right? I cannot wait for that. And when we get to gaming, you might actually hear me say a bad word occasionally.
Well, I'm sure though there's going to be some spicy content for sure with games like Stellar Blade and all that kind of stuff out there.
Yeah.
You never know, right? So we're going to be doing that also too. I'm on Theme Park Universe with Theme Park Wizard, where we break down everything happening in the parks worldwide, actually, twice a month right there, every 1st and 15th. So please go ahead and subscribe to all those things. Well, for all the news, that should be fun.
Thank you. And Ron, where can folks find you and what you've got coming up?
My channel is Follow the Bradleys Fun. We are a family vlogging channel. We've got a few things coming up to break down. I've got a NASA vlog coming up. Went to the Kennedy Space Center recently. Universal Studios with my sister and niece, who are from Amsterdam. And their unique insights, and then we'll be, still checking out Disney parks and nitpicking them to death. Even though there's still things I love, but yeah, I mean, we got to go have fun, but we also got to get them to improve. That's all we're trying to do. Just get it.
That's right.
Yes, exactly.
Do better, Senator. Like
do better, Senator. That's right. You got to check out. You definitely have to check out Ron's channel. It's amazing. So Follow the Bradleys Fun is a good time. We want all boats to rise together, and Ron's one of those guys. He knows Disney a little bit. So check him out. Fun times.
Yeah. So his link and also That Park Place link is in the description box.
Right.
So go ahead and
Oh,
subscribe.
I love it.
Culture, what you got happening, dude?
Well, tonight I got my show, which is 24 minutes away, which means I got to eat fast. But we're gonna go 90 minutes. I always say
Gumbo.
that. Sometimes we don't. No. Actually, I'm having a rotisserie chicken burrito. But
Yum,
good stuff. But what was I saying? Of course, it's Vegas week for me. So starting on Tuesday, I will be Vegas boy. So I will have abrupt cuts in and out of other people's streams that I would normally appear on, because I'll be doing a lot of other things. You'll want to follow the channel, because when I go to one of the meetups, I go live randomly. So as Lorena will always tell you, make sure your bell icon is turned on right up top. You do that for Lorena's channel, everybody's channel. If you want to not miss anything, make sure you turn on all notifications. Sometimes there's a loving goodness in something called the community tab. And if you don't have the bell with all icons, you will not know of the wonderful loving goodness. So on that note, thank you for subscribing to me. We're this close to 25K. So if you're not subscribed to me, please do so. We are going to grow. And I think that's a good thing. I don't know. I mean, unless it's a tumor. It's not a tumor. All right, go.
Well, folks, you know where you can find me, of course, here on YouTube, on Twitch. Not being called a racist I had to reset that. I had to reset that counter again. And of course, you can find me over on Instagram. As for what's going on this week, Wednesday, Spice Lounge show, 5 p.m. We have got WDW Pro coming on as a special guest. So you do not want to miss that. Saturday, Epic Universe Planning Stream at 10 a.m. and at 7 p.m. on Saturday. Going to be celebrating 7K subscribers. Thanks so much to all of you. We're just going to go have fun. We're going to have some friends drop in on the panel. And usually there's all kinds of fun weirdness that happens. So you do not want to miss that. So thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you so much to all my panelists. Thank you for all you folks who are watching this on the replay. And we will see you next time. Bye.
Bye.